Awesome. So when working with DocuSign, as I mentioned prior to starting recording, thank you again, David, is to ensure that you go into settings and make sure you are connected, because I'm sorry, I will not answer your email on Saturday when you're having a fire and can't get into DocuSign. Couple steps there. And if you have just recently onboarded within the past month, this should have been connected for you. So first steps is we're starting in opportunities, and I'm not going to go through the whole opportunities breakdown here, but opportunities is our transaction management system. So whenever you have anyone who says, yes, I want to work with you, whether it be right now or in any time in the near future, you want to create an opportunity. I'm going to quickly create an opportunity just for kicks and giggles, just so we have something we're working with. I know Dave. Oh, come on. There we go. I've got David White in here. He's going to be my client. And we'll say 2% commission, put this in active and create. All right, so we're going to go over to the documents tab. And this is going to be where you're going to put the documents after they're completed. Only fully executed documents will be seen in this location. First off, real quick, Kim, I'm making you a co-host. If you could just let people in as they're coming in, that would be awesome. So you want to first pick a checklist type. I'm going to pick, and I don't know why my click is not working. Something's going on with my browser lately. It's a me problem, not a you problem. So you would, there we go. I'm going to pick a transaction type. This is really frustrating. Sometimes, yep. There we go. So picking residential, sorry for the weird zoom in there. That seems to fix that problem when I'm experiencing it. So we're going to click start a transaction. This is what's going to now create a DocuSign room and bring us over into DocuSign. So I'm going to click start a transaction. And you'll notice DocuSign now opens in a new tab. And they're going to create a DocuSign room. Just so you know, a room is DocuSign's verbiage for essentially an opportunity. Each room is going to be its own transaction. So when we come in here, it drops us into the Documents tab, as you see right there. Now, documents, we live in America, right? So we read left to right. So instead of starting off with documents, I always recommend you jump over to the Details tab, which is one over to the left from Documents. You want to fill in any information here that is going to end up in contracts, end up in your forms, because this will help autofill forms for you. So this will save you some double data entry. Now, there is a plethora of data that you can add to this page. Just stick with the things that you know are going to end up in a contract. So I'm going to click edit and put in an address. Now, if you put an address into the opportunity, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to sync over, but I didn't. So I'm just going to throw in 123 Main Street, Coral Springs. Let's see, county. I don't need that. Florida, postal code. So yeah, we'll just put in the things that are pertinent and then click save at the bottom right. Next, we're going to go to documents. Now we're going to start pulling our forms in. Depending on your market center, you might automatically get some forms that drop in there. Like here, it's a listing, so it put in the exclusive right of sale for me. But if I want to add more forms, I will click the add button at the top right. Now, this is where we can upload PDFs if we want, We can connect to zip forms, pull things from other places like Dropbox or Google Drive, but we have all of our forms in DocuSign forms, and we just will select that. And this will give us all of our available forms. Now, mine's a little bit of a cluster because I'm in market centers in 3 different states. So I got a lot here. But what can help you narrow it down is on the left, you will have packets. And these are packets that are created by your market centers that will tell you, give you groups of forms that you'll likely use in this type of transaction. So again, something is going on here where it's not allowing me to click in certain locations. There we go. And I'll go to, let's see. Wow, this is getting really bad. I've got to work on this. I have no idea why my computer's doing this. I'm just going to add these. I have no idea what they are, but we're going to add them. I will say this as well. I am not licensed, so therefore I cannot advise you on the forms themselves. I can only advise you on how to use them functionally. Whatever, I'm just going to do add selected, and that's going to add the form in. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to do this, even though I already had a form in here, was just to note this one difference. You'll see here on this form that was already in here, it's got a thumbnail of the form itself. The one I just added does not. It just has this icon. What that means is it takes a second to load, and it just has it fully loaded in. And you'll notice if I check this box, well, here, if I check the box on the one that has loaded in entirely, you'll notice I have a download option as well as a print option. With the one that is not fully loaded in yet, it does not have the download or print options. So if you do need to download and print, first off, it's 2023. We can do things digitally, but if that's not an option, we can just reload the page, and you'll notice that the thumbnail now pulls in, and we can do that. That'll happen almost immediately. So you can add it, refresh, and then be able to download it. Just had a number of people reach out to me about that one. So I want to get this exclusive right of sale listing agreement off. So I'm going to click on it and start filling in data. Now, in this step, we're only focused on the static data. The things like signatures and anything your client needs to check off is not going to be here. For those who are transitioning over from .loop, take a deep breath. These signatures are the very last thing you're going to do. So we will get to them. I know when I've had people from .loop in my class, they get a little antsy as we're moving through, wondering where the signatures are. It's the last thing. So you would go through here and just check off boxes, fill in text, so on and so forth. Simple enough. But as you see, these initial fields, there's no, well, the initial locations, there's no fields for them. They're just there. We'll get to those later. So let's assume I've already filled this all out. We're now going to click Save and Close. By the way, I would like to take a pause and ask if anyone has any questions at this point. By the way, you are allowed to unmute, raise your hand, whatever you want to do, just to ask me to clarify, slow down, or answer any questions. Nope. Cool. Oh, hold on. Did I hear someone unmute? Yes, Therese. Therese. Is it Therese? All right. You're still muted.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
I want to know, I'm a .loop person. What can the client see? Can they see any of this while we're doing it, or is it only after the fact when we send them stuff? Or am I jumping ahead?
Yes, you are jumping ahead, and
Okay.
I will show you that when we get there.
Thank you.
But we do have that option. So great question. Cool. So I know I said we're moving left to right because we're in America. The next thing is people over here. This is not a tab you need to worry about. People is this tab is more for people working in the transaction, not the people signing. So this is only going to be if you're on a team and you need to have other team members in there, or if you have a transaction coordinator and they need to go in there. I can give more details around that, but for the most part, you won't need to do anything in the people's tab. But next is envelopes. Now, I recently went to a history museum, and historically there were these things where they would take pieces of paper and fold them up in a way, and then so it was like a pocket, and then they'd stuff other pieces of paper in it and then lick it, ew, gross, and close it and put it in a box, and then some government organization would come and pick it up and deliver it somewhere else. Yes, I'm joking, it's tongue in cheek. Those are envelopes, right? We all know what they are, although I haven't used one in years, but they use that terminology for sending your forms out to people. So you can stuff as many forms into one envelope as you'd like, or just send one form at a time. There's two ways. You can either go into envelopes and click create new envelope, or what I prefer to do is just check off the forms that you want to put in an envelope. And I'm just going to do this one form and select the create envelope button, which has a little pen to signify the signing process. It's then going to ask you who you're sending it to. So in this case, I'd be the listing agent, and I want to send it to seller 1 and myself. Not sure why it keeps checking off seller 2. That's a weird one, but we'll fix that. I'm going to click continue. And it will continue loading. There we go. And now we're preparing the envelope. So we have our preview of our forms here. This is just to look at the form. You're not really going to work in the form here. Also, we can add more forms if we need to. But this section right here, generally, you're just going to skip on past. Next is going to be your signers. So we have our recipients. Now, this acted a little wonky. It didn't bring me into it as it should have. So what I will do is I'm going to click add recipient, and I will select myself. And let's see. And we'll just drag. No, okay, it's not wanting to do the things it's supposed to do. Okay, sorry, my computer, I'm going to have to do a restart after this class. I apologize. So we'll notice we have these each recipient, and so seller 2 didn't auto-populate because I didn't have a seller 2 in this transaction. So I've got two options. One, I can just type in who it is, or I can delete them entirely because they won't be signing this. Next, you see we have numbers next to our recipients. This means there's a signing order. So there's no 2 in this, so it's going to just skip to 3. But in this case, it's going to go to David. David has to sign, and then it would go to me. I wouldn't see anything until David had signed it. No email, no nothing. I will get an email as soon as he signs it. Now, say someone needs to get a copy of this. Maybe you want your transaction coordinator to get it. Maybe their attorney wants to get a copy at the end of it. You can always add recipient, and then you'll notice we have needs to sign. I'll get to you in just a second, Ansh. And we can click that drop down, and we've got multiple options: receives a copy, needs to view, and other things. Just note that if you put needs to view, that is a required action, meaning it will not proceed to the next steps until that person views it. Receives a copy is passive. It just sends it to them, and then it's done. You also have the option to do in-person signer. This is great if you have like an iPad or a tablet or something, and you want them to sign in person. You can prep that right before you go to the listing appointment, and so you're ready to go. Yes, Ansh.
Is there any place where we can attach reminders to seller one? Let's say we sent them an email, they haven't looked at it, it's been a couple of days. Do they get a reminder, or can we set that up?
So we have the option to go in and ask it and resend it. I'll get to that afterwards, but that was a great question. There we go. Now it's working properly. So we can drag and drop to reorder as well if we need to. But I prefer using the number system. All right. Now, if we scroll down from here, we have the message. And it's going to auto-populate the email subject with the documents in there. But this can look kind of weird because it's a pretty long one. And so you might want to change the subject to please review and sign the following documents. Enter the message, the email message, give them some instructions. Hey, please review and sign these documents. If there's anything weird, you might say, please review page 5 and enter information, yada, 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 whatever you need. I will say this, I wouldn't put a massive amount of effort into the email message because you're all realtors. You probably know this. Nobody reads email, right? They just click the button. But that being said, it's good to put instructions in there. So at least you can say you told them. Oh, and to answer your question, Ansh, it looks down here as if it sends reminders every day.
Sounds good. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, so I'm going to click next, and now we finally get to that point where we look at signatures. Now, say you're scrolling through this, and by the way, it puts the signature fields in for you. So we've got the initial fields, so we don't have to add those. But I do recommend that you peruse this to make sure everything's accurate. What can sometimes happen is, as these forms get updated, what happens is DocuSign takes those forms from the state or from your market center or wherever they come from, and then DocuSign adds the fields. Now, that means that human error can happen. So you want to ensure that all the fields are in the proper place. And if they aren't, let your MCA know, and we can submit that to DocuSign and have that corrected as soon as possible. But yeah, so you'll want to go through here and check boxes and, this is where you can check boxes if you forgot to check them before, or enter in data. So here, like these texts, I can double click and type text in there if I need to. Now, I added myself as a recipient after the fact, and so I wasn't assigned to a role. So what I can do now is switch over to myself, which, by the way, I love that they color code it. So David here as the seller is yellow, me as the next recipient is blue, and they just kind of cycle through colors at random. It's not really a specific color coding. We can also edit recipients. Say I put in the email wrong or something, or typed their name wrong, I can fix that. So here I can just drag and drop my initial field if I want, and it looks kind of big. So I can also resize it to super tiny or a little larger, and drag it around and put it wherever I need. We can also do initial fields, date fields, name, so on and so forth. We've got a bunch of stuff we can throw in here. So now to answer your question, Therese, there is a preview button here. And if I click preview, this is going to show us the user experience for whatever device we want. So up at the top, we can see desktop, tablet, or phone. And we can kind of do a mock signing by clicking start and clicking through the functions. It gives a fake initial, so it's not like you're actually signing it for someone. All right, so David, I'm assuming you'd be okay with me sending this to you so that you can sign it. Thank you. I'm going to click send. And since David was the first one, he's going to receive an email right away asking him to sign it. Now, while he's doing that, I do want to show you something. Now, once we send it out, it takes us back here to our envelopes. So you can have multiple envelopes. By the way, the envelopes are going to be titled the subject of the email. Now, sometimes it happens where you send it out and there's that one guy that just doesn't get around to signing it, right? And you're wondering, where are these documents? Why have they not come back signed? You can click on that envelope and you'll see the whole signing order. So I see right now it's currently on David and we're waiting on David to then for me to be able to sign it. So we can know who's bottlenecking the pipeline. And I see I just got an email that David viewed it. He's signing it. That's one thing that's great with DocuSign is you get updated on everything. There is no shortage of emails from DocuSign on these. And I'm going to refresh. Also, there is the option to resend. So if someone was like, hey, I didn't see it, or you just really want them to finally do it, you can click resend and resend it. And it should come through as soon as Dave is done there. It should come through. Yep, there we go. So we see now we have a check mark next to his name. And now that it's currently on me, instead of having the resend option, I have this sign option. So I don't have to go into my email or do anything like that. I can sign it right from here. By the way, we also have the correct button. We can go in and correct things, although as soon as someone starts signing it, or as soon as someone signs it in the process, it's going to lock out a lot of fields to correct. So just a heads up on that. David.
Yeah, quick thing. So when I click the first yellow box, just to instruct right your people, I haven't done this before. The first time you click at the top, the yellow, it shows both your initials and a signature that you might have set up already. And it just sort of, you click to agree to that. Along the left-hand side, there's initial on the left margin, if you will. And it seems like it corresponds with the form itself. And I clicked that on the far left-hand side and it brought me all the way down, but then it brought me all the way back up again. So I actually have to hover over the document itself and click each individual tab that says initial, signature, initial. It's easy. I did that twice, which was the cause. So I could see someone being frustrated if they only stay in the outer margin that says the words initial.
Interesting.
It's easy.
Okay.
It's easy.
Well, thank you for letting me know about that, David. So next I'm going to click sign. So this is now for me to sign it. I'm going to click continue, and it's the same thing as what they go through. I'm going to click start. Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah. So I never clicked that. I always click the box itself.
That's an easy, just tell your clients, just let them know.
Yep. And then I'll click finish. Once I do that, it's going to bring me back into that DocuSign room. And now we see that this is completed. So I'm going to go back into documents and refresh it. Let's double check. This is weird. It should have. Oh, it's still loading. There we go. All right. So I sent one form out and somehow I got two forms back, or two documents back. This confuses some people. So I'll bring some clarity to that. So you see, we've now have 3 different icons on each of these documents, on each of these things, right? So we have the blue one, which says form. That's the DocuSign form. That's always going to be a working form. So say you have a buyer and they submit an offer and that offer gets rejected, you're still going to use the same form and update it for the next offer that you submit. When it's signed, it comes back with a green signed icon on it. And that's just a flat PDF of this form plus the signatures and whatever the user filled out. And then we end up with a certification. No, this isn't like you're certified in DocuSign. What this is this is ensuring that you are legally protected in these signatures. It's stating that these signatures based on timestamp and IP address and all sorts of things are legally binding and valid signatures. So this certification is something that you want to hold on to. Hope that you never have to use it, but I have heard cases of people having to use this in court. So you want to make sure that you're protected. Do not delete these. So as you can imagine, if there's 15 forms in here plus 15 signatures and then all the certifications, this can get pretty messy. So right when you do your first envelope, right after that, I suggest creating folders. So Ansh, what's your question? Then I'll get into creating folders.
This is so let's say we have 15 forms that the customer had to fill. All these forms are contained within a particular listing, right? So they are all separated from each other's listing, right?
Correct. Yeah, these are all in their individual rooms. So as you see up here,
There
it
we
says
go.
David White, 123 Main Street. It's for this specific transaction.
Got it. Thank you.
So I'm going to create a folder. There's 2 folders I recommend everyone make. The first one, so to make them, you just click Actions at the top right, and then click Add Folder. And one folder I always make is called certs or certifications. I like to shorten words. So I clicked create, and now we have 2 folders, certs and room docs. And we can just take that certification and drag it into that folder and release. And now it's in that folder. I can collapse the folder, out of sight, out of mind until I need to use it. The next one that I like to
I'm
do.
sorry.
Yes, Tammy?
Can you show me that again one more time? I'm sorry. I was trying to follow you on my computer there.
Oh, okay. I'm actually going to do it again. So
Yay.
with the
Thank
second
you.
folder.
Mhm.
So I'm going to click add folder again. So actions, add folder, and I'm going to name this one fully executed or fully exec, just to be short. I'm going to create that. And now we have 3 folders, certs, fully executed, and room docs. And you can simply drag and drop it into that folder. Or if you've got multiple documents you want to do this at once with, you can check boxes and then use this move icon to say select destination, folder, fully exec, move. So you can do it in bulk as well. I'm just going to drag this back down. All right. So one thing that I failed to mention when I was showing you guys the envelope, and I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. I'm going to create a new envelope with the same document. Or same form, rather. Sorry, I'm tossing my words around like crazy. Loading, loading, loading. So say you come across a field that is white like this. What that means is the field is optional. So it's going to, the outline's going to be color coded based on who it's assigned to. And the inside is going to be white. So I recommend when running across anything like this is don't leave anything optional, because as you saw, when I signed it, DocuSign is going to be jumping me down to the places to sign, and it's not going to stop at an optional field. So if it is optional and they should sign it, then let's go ahead and select it. And on the right, click required fields so that the client does not have any issues accidentally skipping a signature or initial. If it's an optional field that they don't need to sign, just go ahead and delete it. That's probably going to save you a phone call when they do actually look at everything and say, hey, I see an optional field. Do I need to sign it? Gonna get out of this and actions, discard.
Chris, this might be beyond the scope of this class. Could you give one example of something that the form might start at optional, but we really should make required field?
That's beyond what I can legally say.
No problem.
And it's going to be different based on the state and what form you're going to use. I've seen some where it's you have to initial one or the other, right? So it's you're initialing to say yes or initialing to say no, and they'll have a optional initial in each one. So chances are they're either going to initial both or neither. So I say delete the one they're not going to initial, make required the one they do. Now, one other question I get a lot is, or I get people who come to me, Chris, I can't edit a form, or I can't edit. Oh, I went to the wrong place. I can't edit my my signed document. So I know .loop lets you do some certain things, some edits after the fact. So while we can't actually go in and edit the fields, we do have the ability to strike out. And I will walk through that right now. So I'm going to select the signed document. So we've got two options. If we need to make a change, we can go into the original form, edit it, send it out to be signed entirely. Or if it's just like a little typo or little, just something little, you can go into the signed PDF, and I'll check that box and go to create envelope. Add a recipient, which again, and I will click next. And again, so here you'll notice we don't have any fields in here. This is a flat blank, or flat, not blank, but flat PDF. On the left, we have this pencil icon, which is pre-fill tools. In there, we have a line option. So let's say I had a typo in the address. I will take the line option, click on one side, click on the other. By the way, if you hold shift, it will make it go straight no matter what, instead of doing that. So we'll hold shift. Oh, you have to click at the end. There we go. Now we're going to jump back to the standard fields. I am going to add a text box, and we can fill in that text box with 234 Main Street. Then we can add an initial field and a date signed. Click send. It will send out. I will have to go sign it. There we go. Yep, I'm already getting emails about it. It's funny, I got an email before it even loaded. I'm going to click sign. Continue, and here we go. And you can set it so it's either, they can edit it or not. initial, finish. And
Chris,
this,
when you made that change, did it go back to the beginning of the order of people that needed to sign? So I believe I was number 1 or 2 or something like that. Does it go all
No,
the way
it's-
back up?
it's brand new, the recipients. So you start with, so you can, you don't, if you don't have to send it to everyone, you're not going to send it to everyone. You're just going to send it to whoever you've designated to send it to. And then we'll see again, we now have a new certification. So we'll get rid of that by moving it into the certs folder. And we have our edited document. There we go. Initial, the cross out, the new text, the date, all right there. Yes, David.
So what I'm getting the sense of is you're showing us how to do these things. But if there's certain things, for instance, all of a sudden we decided to change the address, we could legally get in a little bit of an issue. That seems like a compliance thing, or talk to our in-office person on.
Yes, talk to your broker or compliance coordinator about the process that you should go on in your area. Because again, we got people from Massachusetts, Connecticut, Florida, all on this call. So I don't know what your local regulations are. But this is, yeah, thank you for that clarification, David. You're saving me from getting in trouble. Now that we have documents, let's say we have all the ones we need. I'm going to show you also why I think it's so important to have these folders. So I'm going to go back to opportunities, and we're of course going to need to upload our documents to Command to then submit for compliance. Now, if you go to DocuSign properly, like we did, then you will have a connection with DocuSign to be able to pull your forms directly over. Meaning you do not have to download something to upload it. Yay! There's nothing I hate more than downloading to upload. So, there's plenty of things I hate more, but that's an exaggeration. So, we have DocuSign here, which, by the way, you can click this drop down and change it to computer if you need to manually upload something. And then we have our working folder, which I need to refresh. DocuSign working folder. So now we have our different folders here. So I can pull up fully exec. And now when I pull in my listing agreement, I only have one option rather than a laundry list of every single document in there. And I can't remember how I titled it and how the heck I'm supposed to get it in there, yada, yada, yada. So this is a way to simplify your compliance process. Any questions? Nope. Trying to find the unmute button. Okay. You guys want a pro tip? Pro tip? Okay. So who else hates downloading to upload? Yeah, that sucks, right? Okay. So I'm going to go back into DocuSign. And we have this inbox right here. So I'm going to click on this inbox and you'll see I've got a weird, wacky email address here. You'll all have some sort of unique, weird, wacky email address. What I want you to do is copy that email address. And I'm going to try to do this slow so you can do this along with me if you'd like. So copy this email address. And then we're going to open a new tab. And we're going to go to contacts.google.com. Contacts.google.com. So once we're in here, we're going to create a contact. So at the top left, click create contact and create a contact. We're going to name this contact first name DocuSign, last name inbox, and then paste that email into the email field. And then click save. I've already done this, so I'm not going to click save and have like 20 of these. So what we can do now is if we get emailed a PDF, we can forward that PDF to our DocuSign inbox, and it's going to go into DocuSign, and then we move it into the appropriate room. So I'm going to go into my Gmail.
First name was DocuSign, last name was
Inbox.
Inbox.
Yep. So let me find something with a PDF. Is this a PDF in here? No. I'm just going to search for something with a PDF. Why is it not clicking? Whatever, this has PDFs in it. So we've got, there's a PDF attached to this. So I'm going to click forward. And then in the to field, I just type DocuSign inbox. There we go. There's my DocuSign inbox, and I'm going to send it. Now, it does take a minute for it to process and bring in, but I have one in here already from the last time I taught this. So once it's in here, all you have to do is check the box and then click the move icon and tell it where to go. We'll say active rooms, and I have David White right here, and I'm going to move it into that one. Oh, and hey, look, in that time, that new one popped in. So this is the one that I just sent over. So it's actually way quicker than it used to be. I'll go back into my David White room. And you'll see right here, this New Hampshire exclusive listing agreement is right there. Awesome. That's my pro tip there. So we don't have to download and upload. If you want to get crazy, which seems a little much, but if you put this ID number in the subject when you forward it, it will put it directly in the room. But for me, it's more clicks to go find the ID number than it is just to send it and then move it over. So